Nick Candy, what a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Did even give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy. iRacing night has hit the track at the Richmond International Raceway for the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series Open Division. We're getting ready to go green and doing some short track racing for 125 laps here this evening. Glad you could be with us on Fans Choice, iRacing Live, PSR TV, and all of our affiliates. Tim Terry and Joe Cortez here with you. And Joe, let's get right into the grid because we have a huge field and not a whole lot of time before we go green. On the pole, it's your leading NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series driver, Kenny Humpy, at a time of 20.78. Taylor Hurst on the outside, he'll drive car number 12.
125 laps going to click down quick here at Richmond. Let's go keep going through it. Trent Ringler, Adam Benefield will make up row number 2.
We got Daniel Roper rolling off from position number 5 to the outside. Ryan Luza in the 1.
As the cars start making their way to the grid, let's continue down. Ryan Lowe, Ryan Manning, the two Ryans, 4 and 20 respectively, will start 7th and 8th.
You got Alan Bowes rolling off from position number 9, completing your top 10, Jeremy B. Davis.
Michael Van de Sal, a regular in the series, will start position 11. Brian Ehrman, another regular, starts position number 12.
That'll be a stout row. Keegan Leahy rolls off from position number 13, and Adam Burley in 14th.
Row number 8 belongs to the 8 of Chuck Sweeting and the 17 of Blade Witt.
Matthew Davis and Lance Nasir roll off from position 17 and 18.
Row 10 belongs to Jacob Harberts in the 6 machine. On the outside of him, another NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series regular, Chris Oberlin.
Blake Reynolds will roll off from position number 21, and Brad Newman rolls off from 22nd.
Dylan Jones, a name we've heard here before, will start position number 23, and outside of him, beat the 16 of JK's position number 24.
Todd Guerin likes these short tracks, but he'll roll off from 25th. He's got his work cut out for him. And Michael Garaguglia rolls off from position number 26. That concludes your field. We're getting ready to go green in a couple laps' time. And Joe, this is the final race before the brand new build for iRacing. Dynamic tracks and a couple of other things coming out tomorrow. So I think this is a great way to send them off. Short track racing at its finest. But can anybody beat Kenny Humpy?
The only person that can beat Kenny Humpy is himself as we get ready to go 125 laps around the 3/4 long Richmond International Raceway. You're absolutely right, Tim. Very appropriate, very apt we finish off here. This is the heart of the sport, as anyone will tell you. This is where championships are made, and it's tracks like this across the country where we learn our love for the sport. As I go around one more time before we go to green flag racing, Kenny Humpy's biggest enemy at this point is himself, and effectively, Tim, he is one race away from clinching the $10,000 check that comes with winning the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
And here tonight, having a little bit of fun with his teammates. I see Ryan Manning in the field. He'll start back in position number 8, and I'm sure some of those teammates have been working on this setup all week long to try to get the team close to the front of the field by the time this thing is all said and done at the Richmond International Raceway. Glad you could be with us here on Fans Choice, iRacing Live, all of our affiliates as we get ready to throw the green flag for the first of 125 laps around the Richmond International Raceway on iRacing night. It'll be Kenny Humpy and Taylor Hurst leading this field, and Kenny Humpy is gone as soon as the pace car peels off. Green flag flies, we're underway for the first of 125 laps.
And don't look now, these laps are going to go in a hurry as these guys twirl around turns 1 and 2. Humpy getting away from the field. Battle is for position number 2 as Ringler tries to fight off Taylor Hurst, and Daniel Roper 2 by 2 is the battles for 3rd and 5th respectively through turns 3 and 4.
They continue to go at it down into corner number 1. The top 5 single file. The first battle is back here at position number 6. Going to be Ryan Luza in car number 1. Just ahead of this, the 4 of Ryan Lowe trying to make a spot on the inside. Adam Benefield on the outside, and he is going backwards on that outside line.
Top 5 gets single file. Top 6 gets single file. Battle now is for position number 7 between the 23 of Benefield and the 20 of Ryan Manning. Alan Bowes, an NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series regular, he's going to try to duck down low, and the 5 machine is going to try to get further into the top 10. Can he do it? Yes, he will through turns 3 and 4. Leaves the 23 of Benefield on the high line.
And he's going to continue to fall back here, Joe. That is not the place to be right now. That high line trying to come to the front, but the low line right now, at least on lap number 4, is definitely the place to be. Benefield is still on the outside line. He's going to lose one more position. And the freight train, Joe, he might be able to find a spot back here in line behind Vanisdal if he can wiggle his way back here.
Another driver that needs to find his place in the line is the 9 of Keegan Leahy. Last time around, he brushed the wall coming off of turn 4, almost lost it into the two drivers underneath him. That's 22 of Ammerman and the 24 of Adam Burley. So Leahy needs to figure out what he needs to do to get back in line and get back moving forward. Until then, he's going to have to drive that car very, very cautiously because he cannot afford another big hit into the wall.
Yeah, you want to keep this car clean, especially at Richmond, where every single piece means something. Kenny Humpy up in front, 0.4 of a second back to Trent Ringler in car number 11. As it looks like, Joe, we see a couple of, saw Bristol earlier in the season, these guys moving each other, got a pass here for around position number 5, I believe that's Lowe, and possibly Ryan Luza going at it here. Check that note, that is the 20 of Ryan Manning, so the two Ryans going at it. But we've seen earlier this season at Bristol, guys will use the chrome horn, but I think right now they're content to ride to try to log some laps here.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to use the chrome horn right this moment, and I'll tell you why. These drivers have a very long memory, and if you try to use that bumper now, you try to use that horn today, it will come back to haunt you. Maybe not on lap 30 or not lap 50, but once we hit 100, once you have 25 to go, that memory will come to haunt you in some way, shape, or form. Who's not haunted, though, is Alan Bowes. The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series regular has picked up a handful of positions, started 9th, now up to 7th, and I don't think he's in the mood to relinquish any positions from there.
But just inside the top 10 right now as those guys work on lap number 9 of 125. Caution flag is out on the speedway.
First caution flag will fly here at Richmond, and I'm trying to figure out where exactly that caution stems from. That's going to be from Dylan Jones, I am being told, the driver of the number 15 machine, who may have got a little bit loose. Tim, you have more information on that?
Yeah, all by himself coming off of corner number 2, Joe. Nothing, no contact, no nothing whatsoever. It's the 15 going around, bringing out the caution flag all by himself. No contact with the wall, no contact with another driver. Thing just stepping out from underneath him. That'll bring out the first caution flag of the evening on lap number 10.
So the good news for him is no damage on that car means he's got a very good car. He'll still need to come down the road for tires and fuel as the rest of these drivers come down, a lot of these drivers, I should say, come down to pit road for the first time tonight. Humpy, Ringler, Roper, Hurst, and Luza, your top 5, they don't come down pit road, but Jeremy B. Davis and a handful of others behind him, in front of him, including Ryan Lowe, will all come down to the attention of their crews for service.
So perfect time for those guys to come down and get service onto their race cars as Humpy, Ringler, Roper, Hurst, most of the field up front stays out on this racetrack. And everybody, Joe, from about 10th place or so on back, taking the opportunity to come down onto pit road on this early caution flag on lap number 11 of 125. Trent Ringler, Brian Ammerman, some of these guys that are racing this series full-time, Joe, getting close to the end of the 33-week season. We're getting close to crowning a champion in this series.
Absolutely, we are, and the champion's going to be that much closer to actualizing his dreams of racing for real money here in the iRacing sim. As these guys graduate from this series, their next challenge will be, I believe, the Pro Series sim, and that's the next step closer they need to take before they can join the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series potentially next season.
Yeah, they have to work their way through the A-Class, and then once they get through the A-Class, the A-Open division, work through the Pro Series, get accustomed to that A-car that the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series drivers do run every second Tuesday, or in this case, there's been a little change in the schedule to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. But nevertheless, this is a great breeding ground. Of course, you can log on to iRacing, see if we can pop up the promo code that we have here. You get 3 months for the price of 1. and you can also get the late model stock. So head over to iRacing.com. The promo code that you see on your screen, you can fill that in, and you're going to get a great deal, and you're going to be able to learn some of the iRacing ovals, learn some of the iRacing cars, get the late model stock, and prepare yourself to move up the ranks. And you could see yourself racing here on iRacing Live on this NASCAR iRacing Class B Series sooner rather than later, as we are doubled up and getting ready to go back to green.
Lights are off, about a half lap to go before we're back to green flag racing. Kenny Humpy won the Richmond race here when the NASCAR Anniversary Series ran all the way back in April. So Humpy trying to make it 2 for 2 here at Richmond International Raceway. Can he do it? Only time will tell. Pace car gets out of the way, but not before Kenny Humpy nearly gives him the pit maneuver to get him moving, and he will take first place once again. 13 laps in on lap 14. Humpy has won them all, but now the 3 and 11 doing battle for position number 2.
Yeah, some of these guys getting a little racy compared to the first start. Caution is out.
Getting racy is definitely the term we want to call for that. Matthew Davis, the 1-3 machine, who is a latecomer down pit road, he will spin it all by himself at the end of the field. Also being told the 10 car, the 16, might have also gotten a piece of that as well.
Yeah, it's the 10 and the 7, Joe. I don't know where I got the 16, but 10 and 7 get tangled up in this one. The 16 actually is right in the middle of this, and I believe the 16 car is going to get by. The 13 spins out at the back, almost like there was too much brake bias in that race car, Joe, to send that one around. But minimal damage to some of these drivers. I believe the 8 car is also involved in this one. And looking at these guys back through the field, Blake Reynolds, Chuck Sweeting, some of those guys at the back of the pack, getting some contact to bring out the caution flag. A little bit of chain reaction going on at a corner number 2 to see the yellow flag fly again.
So it looks like 4 cars will walk away with damage from this incident, including the 7 of Overland, among others. And that's not really what you want to see if you're sitting mid-pack right now. The bad news is for these guys, that mid-pack is definitely a powder keg waiting to explode. All it takes is just one spark. And as we saw right there, Tim, the big one is not just reserved for super speedways. That big one could happen very easily here at Richmond, the right chain reaction.
There's so much that can happen here so quickly, Joe, especially off these corners. If 2 cars come together, you don't have a whole lot of time to react, especially with a short track. You're right on top of everything. And with this iRacing service, it's the same deal. When you come up on a wreck or you come up on another car, you do hit them or they do something that's not, that might be out of the ordinary compared to what you're used to. You're going to very well end up in an accident, or could end up in an accident like we saw there with a couple of drivers at the back of the field. Kenny Humpy continues to pace his field. He's led all 16 laps thus far. Roper in a second, and we haven't talked a whole lot about the 3 car here this evening, Joe, but running in second place right now, and he was battling with Trent Ringler for that spot. So we'll see if the 3 car has anything here on these last 100 and so laps to get past the number 3 car.
Possible, but not plausible. Roper's been very strong, and so is Ringler. It's really going to come down to driver skill and driver ability. Richmond is not an easy track to tame. It's, again, of all the tracks we go to, because it's a shorter track and because it's tri-oval, it is a very precarious track to run. And now, that doesn't mean it's any less fun. This track is a blast to run in one of these big cars. It also means that you have to be a lot more careful on what you can and can't do with these cars. They're bigger, they're more powerful, and with that power plant in them alone, they don't have the same center of gravity as maybe a modified, an SK modified, or even a late model would have. So it's totally, completely different style of racing, but these guys wouldn't have it any other way.
You definitely have to harness what is under you right now, and some of these drivers are trying to figure out, especially at the back of the field, what they have underneath them, especially with the setup that they might have built throughout the week. Green flag flies. Kenny Humpy is gone out in front. The 3 car going to get a nice little launch off the outside, and then it's Luza on the outside with Trent Ringler going side by side for position number 3. Give the advantage to the 11 car on the inside line. The 1 going to try to fight back off the corner. We got a wreck out back. Ammerman a part of this one, and we are going to see caution again.
Lots of trouble starting around. It looks like the 22 of Ammerman that causes that chain reaction once again coming off of turn number 2. Ammerman just too high through turns number 1 and 2, and that wall sneaks up on him in a hurry. Just forces him back down through the field, and he will catch the 21 machine. He'll catch the 24, the 6, the 26, all get a piece of that, and it looks like the 6 may have been able to get out of that one scot-free. So 5 cars involved, all starting around the 22 and 21.
And you know, when you look back at it, Joe, you can kind of trace this all the way back to the restart. The 19 car of Jeremy Davis, I believe that is, goes low on the 18 and the 22. They're 3 wide. I'm not sure if the spotter on the 22 said you're 3 wide. He gives him a lot of room on the inside and then runs out of room coming out of corner number 2. And then, as you mentioned, hits the wall. The 21 is there, and it causes that chain reaction wreck. I'm not sure if maybe the 22, I don't want to say overreacted, Joe, because he did give those drivers in the inside a lot of room going down into corner number 1, but it may have bit him at the end, getting into the wall and bringing out that yellow flag. So the caution flag will fly once again for the 3rd time in 20 laps. Down the back straightaway for another chain reaction wreck. 24 hard hit on the inside wall as well, and looks like 4 cars involved in this one getting some sort of damage.
I counted maybe 6, but 4, we'll go with 4. 5, I believe. 5 it was. Nonetheless, that gives you an idea of just how difficult this track is to tame. It is a very difficult track. This is not a track for novices, and you know, no matter how much skill you have, you're always on tiptoes here at Richmond, because it's incidents like that where you don't realize just how much track you have left in front of you, where the wall can come out of nowhere and bring you back down the track, and a hit like that, a hit too hard, and you're done for the night, which I guarantee you, Tim, you're a racer yourself. You know the last place you want to be watching a race, if you've been in one of these cars, is watching it from the garage.
And that's a big hit for Ammerman. Ammerman 5th place in the point standings right now, and keep in mind this is a rolling system. These drivers have been racing throughout the season. This is week number 25 for these guys. Up in front, Trent Ringler, pretty much Joe has this thing locked up. He's got about a 500-point lead on Adam Burley, and that's a rolling system, including some of the races that happened this week at the Richmond International Raceway thus far. But Burley, Matthew Davis, and Michael Vanisdal, they're locked into a little battle for position number 2 in the standings, and this race could very well play into the championship points picture. Vanisdal is running within the top 10 right now in position number 9. Looking through the field, you've got a couple of others that are in this race. Davis is all the way back in position number 20 right now. So it's still early in this race, but this race could very well play a huge role in deciding a champion, the NASCAR iRacing Class B Open Series. And right now, Kenny Humpy just out here for a little bit of fun, and currently leading this event. His teammate Ryan Manning, running for, he's running part-time, Joe, but he's 7th place in the point standings. So if Kenny Humpy can help the program or Ryan Manning a little bit, it's probably going to help Ryan Manning in the point standings at the end of the night.
Well, and right now, points are everything. You mentioned it right earlier. There's tonight 7 weeks left in the series, and at this point, points are everything. Those guys don't have a mini chase like the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series guys do. At this point, your points are where you're at after this race is where you're at, and no matter what you do, you've got to reshuffle and reschedule and put yourself in a place where you can ultimately walk away with the best points you can between now and the end of the season.
So the pace car going to peel off this time by. We started the event this evening with 26 cars, and I believe we might be down to 24 at this point, at least 24 on the racetrack. Kenny Humpy is in control of this field. Pace car off, and once again he leaves early just as soon as that pace car peels off. And now the 11 of Trent Ringler going to try to poke that nose to the inside of Roper. Roper going to try to get in there on Kenny Humpy. Close call going down there into corner number 1. Humpy going to lead up, and now the 3 cars stuck on the outside.
But notice something here. Through this first turn, nobody goes up high. Nobody tries to force it 3 wide. Everybody, I think, has learned the lesson. That wall comes at you, and it comes at you hard, and it comes at you in a hurry. So what can you do? What are you forced to do? You're forced to race conservatively and race smarter, not harder. That's why you see the 11 and 3 racing so tight through turns 1 and 2. They are direly close to each other because they do not want to make the same mistake their predecessors did and hit that wall and take themselves out of the race before it actually becomes a race.
And trying to do a little bit of pinch work, let's say, on the inside. Caution flag will fly for another incident, Joe, near the back of the running order. And that is the 26 car on the front straightaway. And Joe, he was running near the back of the field. Gets a little sideways at a corner number 4. 17 car does a masterful job getting on the binders and not getting in to the 26 as he spins tip of the cap to Blade Witt. But 26 car gets a little loose and will bring out the caution flag. Once again, lap number 26.
Tim, it just looks like the 26 just drove that car too hard. As I look back at that replay, coming off of 4, it almost looks like he drove it too hard. The air came off of the back end of that car, and the 17 with nowhere to go just gives it a little bumper tap, and the 26 will go spinning into the infield. Good news, the 26, outside of that little tap, he should be okay, no damage. He'll just need to come down to pit road, the attention of his pit crew for tires. The bad news, though, is he's going to have to probably start from the very back of the field, and that's not where you want to be starting if you're at Richmond.
So the 2 car will stay out on the racetrack. The 11, Trent Ringler, Luza, Roper, and the 5 also going to stay out on the racetrack. Alan Bowes has now moved in to the top 5 as he sets his sights on moving a little closer towards the front of the field. The 23 car comes on to pit road, and he'll get service on his race car. Last time by, he was scored in position number 14. I believe your free pass car just went by the pace car, and that is Adam Burley. And we talked about Adam Burley a little bit earlier. Currently, with the rolling system for the point standings, Joe, he is second in the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series point standings. So keep an eye on Adam Burley as he goes through the evening. He's now back on the lead lap. I do believe that will be 23rd place, and he'll try to move back up through the field. Might have a little bit of damage to that number 24 car after falling 1 lap down, but we'll see what he has for the remaining laps in this one. We have 95 to go.
95 laps that are going to go by sooner than you think, though this first part of the race has kind of gone by a little bit slow. 20 minutes in, and we've only covered 30 laps. That's a little under a minute a lap, but you'll have that when Mr. Yellow Flag is so excited about greeting all the fans here tonight.
If you want to get involved in the conversation here this evening on iRacing Night, head over to Twitter, hashtag iRacing Night, get involved in the conversation. Tell us what you think so far, who you think's going to win, and tell us if anybody has anything for Kenny Humpy and who might be able to top the number 2 car. Trent Ringler's going to start on the outside in this restart, and Ryan Luza is going to start in 3rd. I think, Joe, if anybody has anything for Kenny Humpy, might be that guy behind the wheel of the 1, Ryan Luza. Once he graduates into the Pro Series and makes it into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, not sure when that's going to be, but once he does, he is going to be a dangerous threat for that championship, and maybe somebody that could very well knock Kenny Humpy off the pedestal.
Yes, that is in the future, though. I'm not even going to touch that one tonight because Kenny Humpy is too dominant. He won here last April. He's won almost everything you put him in. He won last week at Darlington in the team car, and tonight he's looking to do it one more time, hoping to go pole to pole to control all 125 laps for the win here. And to tell you the truth, Tim, if I'm the trophy guy, I'm already engraving his name in the trophy, because unless Kenny Humpy defeats himself or he gets caught up in some bad luck, both could happen, there's no way Kenny Humpy's going to let this race walk away.
Well, right now, all he's going to do, Joe, is worry about restarts, because that's pretty much all we've had so far this evening. 32 laps being worked on the board. It'll be completed when we come by this time and restart this event. Keep in mind, 125 laps here this evening. Kenny Humpy leads over Trent Ringler, Ryan Luza. The 3 car fell back to position number 4 on that exchange, and he will restart once again on the outside. Roper will start in 4th, and Alan Bowes will start in position number 5. We'll see if the 3 car can't get lucky and try to find a spot in the line here. He was saved by that caution flag, Joe, but he'll start on the outside here. Green flag flies. Humpy is gone. Look at the 11 car. He did not go on that restart, and now it's going to be possibly 3 wide because the 5 of Bowes thought about going to the inside. They're going to remain side by side. The 11 car misses the corner. Oh, this is going to be big. The 11 car gets turned by the 3, and they're all going to scatter behind. Caution flag will fly.
And the 20 and 17 end up parked on top of one another. Tim, that was by and large, the largest incident I've ever seen here at Richmond. Once again, too ambitious coming into turns 1 and 2. The 11 and 3 make contact at the exit of turn number 2. The 11 gets spun around, and some cars are able to avoid it. Give credit to the 25, give credit to the 19 for both getting around it, though the 19 had to plow through the 20 in order to make it through the field. But the 20, the 18, the 17, who ended up with a 20 on its hood. Those cars are definitely in trouble, and they might as well be done for the night. The 11, I can't see him recovering at this juncture. Damn, that was just too much too soon.
Yeah, I'm looking back at this, Joe, and the 11 car Trent Ringler, he did not go on the start. Compared to Kenny Humpy and even compared to Ryan Luza, he does not get going very quickly. Humpy's been going every single restart in the first 30 laps of this race as soon as the pace car peels off. There hasn't been any restart games from Kenny Humpy. As soon as the pace car peels off, he's going. Now, that could change. Humpy has that prerogative to go between there and when the green flag flies, sort of like the go zone that they have in the NASCAR Top 3 Series. But the 11 car does not go on the outside, and he puts himself way wide in corner number 1, tries to cut down that gap in corner number 2. Joe, there's not much the 3 car, I don't think, could do there. He could have let off, but if he let off and tried to let that 11 into line, he was probably getting run over by the 12 of Taylor Hurst. I don't know how much the 3 could have done to prevent that wreck. Unfortunately, whatever the case may be there, it's going to collect a few cars behind him.
I'm going to agree with the driver of the number 21 machine, Todd Guerin. He is off the track. His night is done. He puts out on Twitter, if you get stuck 3 wide high, you have to lift. And I'm going to absolutely echo that statement because discretion is the better part of valor. You don't win the race on lap 36. You win it on lap 125. Case in point, simple open and shut statement. You don't win it on lap 33. You win it on lap 125, and in order to finish first, you know how the rest of it goes.
On the other side of it, too, you look at Trent Ringler. We talked about that a little bit earlier, leading the points. Doesn't have a whole lot to lose. And to be honest, Joe, he's had some good runs, but he hasn't really had a whole lot of luck when we've seen him on iRacing night here on iRacing Live. Hasn't really had those really good runs to really show that good luck. He is leading the points. He's obviously winning races. It just seems like when we turn on the virtual TV cameras, something is biting that Trent Ringler team.
It's a TV curse. Plain and simple. You're the Madden curse.
It's got to be.
I can't think of anything else to put. But that being said, Taylor Hurst, you're absolutely right about it. A little bit of it's bad luck, I'll give you that. But the other half of it is when the pressure is on, when the TV is on, forget about the sponsors, forget about the TV time, forget about putting it all on TV. You have to still run your race and do what you do best, and that is pilot the car you have underneath you. And if you do not do that, if you are incapable of doing that, TV's not going to make you any better, Tim.
But Ringler's still going to have an opportunity to lessen the damage that he would have and maybe try to pick up some more points to pad the cushion. He currently sits in position number 21, scored the last time by in that spot, and he's back there with good company. Davis, Vanisdal, Emmerman, and Burley, those guys that are running up front with him in the point standings are back there around P18 land. Green flag flies once again. Kenny Humpy will get away. It's side by side behind him, and Alan Bowes, where did he come from? Going to take position number 2, and they're going to race 2 and 3 wide behind them. The 3 and the 12 are going to go at it. Little contact there. 12 up the racetrack, and off of corner number 2, they're somehow not going to wreck.
Still 3 wide, now 2 wide into turns 3 and 4. The 12 of Taylor Hurst going to do the crossover on the 9, and now the 33 and 16 in trouble. 16 in trouble, gets contact from the 10 machine, and they are still able to keep it going straight into turns 1 and 2, though the 16 and 10 still doing a little bumping and grinding on their own.
Just in front of them, it's the 26 car trying to pick up a couple of spots. The 14 going to move to the inside of the 23. That's Brad Newman on Adam Benefield. And there's the 4 of Ryan Lowe trying to march his way back towards the front of the field. Last time by, scored in position 13. That is 12th on top of him. The 23 falling back on the outside line. Joe, that's not a place you really want to be. The 14 car going to try to open the door on the inside of the number 26. and try to pick up one more position as Ryan Lowe tries to follow the 14 of Brad Newman through. That is around 10th place.
Single file through the first 10 positions. First battle on the field is going to be for position number 11. Michael Gargila is going to give away position to the number 4 of Ryan Lowe. Meanwhile, the 7 and 23 both trying to get around the 26 as well. Oh, that's Chris Overland in the 7. Adam Benefield on the 23. The 26 looks like he's moving backwards in a hurry. He's got to figure out something if he wants to start moving forward.
Taylor Hurst started on the pole of this one, Joe, and he's just moved up one more position. That will put him back in position at number 6. So Hurst making his way back up through the field. The 25 car on the outside line. Nasir going to lose a couple more positions. Keegan Leahy just makes a move on him to move Leahy up to position number 8, and will move the 25 car back to position number 9, and he finds a spot in the line right in front of that 14 and the 4 car battle that we just saw there between Brad Newman and Ryan Lowe. Top few drivers, single file, all the way back to about, the top pack, Joe, the lead pack, single file right now. I think everybody may have found some real estate to run in.
Everyone's calmed down. The nerves have finally subsided. Everyone has calmed down, and now they're starting to find a groove here around the track on lap 45. Never too late to get out there and find a way to work around the track. Now the problem is you're playing not necessarily catch up per se. We got problems now with the 25. Yellow flag out once again.
And Nasir around on the front straightaway, and Joe, a couple of laps ago, he was falling back on the outside line, and it looks like going down in corner number 3, he's on the inside of the number 9, and the 14 gets into him once, twice. 4 gets into the 14. The 14, it's just like the other wreck where if he lifted, he was probably going to get run over from behind. But, Joe, he was already getting run over from behind from the 4. The 14 does not never lift, per se, coming off of corner number 4. Spins the 25, brings out the caution flag. Looked pretty bad there on the part of the 14 there. So Brad Newman will probably restart here from around position number 10, unless he does come down pit road, or drivers come down pit road in front of him. And Nasir, after falling back a few spots, Joe, will go all the way back to 21st. And speaking of pit road, it's about to be busy. The 3 car jams into the back of the 19, I believe that was. Jeremy Davis coming onto pit road. He just completely body slammed him. Not sure what that was all about, but nevertheless, they have some damage to fix. The others have some fuel and possibly some tires to play with.
This might be one of maybe 2 pit stops at most we're going to see these drivers do. Then Kenny Humpy will pull into his stall cleanly. Taylor Hurst, Adam Benefield overshoots his stall. Roper losing. We got a couple drivers. Looks like they're going to try to take 2 tires. Jeremy B. Davis will be one of them. The number 11 of Trent Ringler thought about it as well, but he's going to try to figure out where his stall is to begin with. Jeremy B. Davis, 2 tires, no repairs of the damage to the back end of that car. He is down and away first out of pit road. Kenny Humpy took 4 tires. He will come out second. Ryan Michael Lewis up third. Alan Bowes fourth. And Dylan C. Jones rounding out your race off pit road.
And Joe, I think now it's just going to be a matter of if Kenny Humpy can get a good start on that outside. And I don't want to say dispose of Jeremy Davis. We've seen Davis run well here before on iRacing night. But the question is how quickly can Davis get out in front of this field and try to possibly maneuver and keep Kenny Humpy behind him. Todd Guerin stays out in the racetrack. He is a lapped car. Jacob Herberts stays out on the racetrack, and he is 11 laps down. So an 11 lap and a 14 lap down car. Trying to get one of those laps back here, Joe, and try to inch themselves closer. Some of those drivers running for points. I don't know how much of an aid a 24th place finish will do, but they're out here getting some TV time too.
You know what? Any TV time counts, especially when you're trying to make a little bit of that currency for driving the heck out of these cars. I am not concerned about the 19 of Jeremy Davis, especially trying to get around the rest of the field, and I'll tell you exactly why. The 19 has 2 tires, the 2, the 5, the 1. They all have 4 tires. 4 tires is better than 2 tires, especially on a track that demands a lot of grip. Plus, the 2 has been dominant on restarts all night. As soon as that Ford Mustang first racing pace car comes out of the racing service onto pit road, the 2 is gone. So Kenny Humpy, I am not concerned about him taking back the lead. I am just more concerned about what Jeremy Davis plans on doing with 2 tires at Richmond.
Yeah, we'll see how it works here at least, and possibly, maybe down the road here later in the race, it could very well be a strategy that somebody else will try, but we haven't had a whole lot of green flag laps, Joe, and maybe that's what Jeremy Davis is thinking too. We don't have a ton of green flag laps. Maybe as long as the damage isn't too bad on the back of that race car, maybe he gets a little bit of track position out of this. If we do go green flag racing, though, it might come back to haunt him. We'll see how it plays out next time by. Lights are out atop the pace car, and we'll go green at the next circuit by. We have 75 laps to go. We have completed the first 50 of this race at Richmond on iRacing night.
Yes, we have, and plenty of racing left to go here on the racetrack. So when we go back to green flag racing, it will be Davis and Humpy on the first row, Lewis and Bowes in the second, Dylan Jones, Daniel Roper, row number 3, Taylor Hurst, Keegan Lee, row number 4, and Ryan Lowe and Chris Overland making up row number 5. Pace car goes down pit road, and it will be the 19 of Jeremy Davis getting the early advantage. But here comes the 2 of Kenny Humpy, and he's going to go low early. I think he's going to try to cut off the 19 and see what he can do, try to get it back out front. 3 will go around, and he's going to collect a bunch of cars around him. No, the 9 will go around instead, and that's going to collect the 7 and check him up one more time. And guess what, Tim? Yellow flag comes out once again.
Yellow flag was out, and Joe, as you were calling that, I was watching those top 2 to see who would get the lead, and I believe Humpy did not get the lead from the 19. And when Jeremy Davis pitted and took those 2 tires, I think that's what he was thinking. Yellow flag fever, get some track position, and end up walking away with that. The 4 and the 3 come together. 3 car in the middle of the racetrack. The 4, I don't know if he committed late, Joe, to the inside line, but regardless, those 2 make contact. And then on the outside of them, as you mentioned, the 9 car does go around, and he got into the 3 a little bit, I do believe there. The 3 kind of sent him up into the safer barrier. He pancakes the safer barrier, goes around, 7 car gets collected in that one. So all those little incidents there are connected. Caution flag does fly, and Jeremy Davis does get to keep the lead, but Kenny Humpy was hounding him. So we'll have to see how quickly that 2 car can take that lead away from that 19 when we do go back to green.
So now we have conflicting strategies at play. You've got a bunch of cars that are set up for the long run. You've got a couple of cars set up for the short run. And what I'm very, very interested to see when this all comes back around is what happens in the next 70 laps or so that we're going to run here at Richmond, because all these conflicting strategies is going to make for some very entertaining racing.
I think it is. The big question, at least strategy-wise, I think is going to be where Jeremy Davis falls. If we do get 10 laps of green flag racing in here, and we haven't had that yet, but knock on wood, hopefully we do. If we get 10 to 15 laps of green flag racing at least, where does Jeremy Davis fall? Does he fall to position 5? Does he fall back to around 10th where he was before? Does he gain anything from this strategy? Kenny Humpy, Ryan Luza, and Alan Bowes has made his way up from position number 9. I don't know if Jeremy Davis has anything for them. Dylan Jones has made his way all the way up to 5th place from position 23 on the starting grid. And then you got some guys that are hanging outside the top 10. The 26 car self-spun earlier. He's all the way up to position number 10 on this exchange. So we'll see what happens here as we have another 2 laps or so. They're going to be 3 wide racing coming off of pit road, though. Some of those guys repairing some damage. Harberts, Overland, and Keegan Leahy drag racing off pit road 3 wide, and they'll start at the rear of the running order.
No, I think you're absolutely right there, and I think it's going to make for some very entertaining racing when we go back to green flag racing. And you know, the 19 and 2, that's the, I think, going to be the race to watch when we go back to green flag racing here in just a moment. You see the 19 and 2 are the 19 and 2 are going to be the ones that are really going to control this race, control this restart. And what they do, how they control this restart, Tim, is going to be critical to the rest of this race goes, especially if we do have that yellow fever. Nonetheless, lights are off. One more circuit around Richmond. We will go back to green flag racing, having 57 in the books. We'll be scoring lap 58. And once again, the 2 in front controlling this field, Jeremy B. Davis, the 19 with 2 new tires, and the 2 of Kenny Humpy, 4 new tires, looking for his second win here at Richmond this year.
But in order to go back to the top of the scoring pylon, Kenny Humpy does have to pass Jeremy Davis. We're not counting that number 19 car out, but if we do get some green flag racing, it could very well be a 2, and I'm not counting out the 1 of the 5 either. Ryan Luza has been strong. Alan Bowes knows this B-class car. We'll see what happens here. The 2 car tried to time the 19. The 19 puts the hammer down, and we're back under green. And you can see the 2 car, Joe, of Humpy trying to time that start a little better than the 19. They'll be side by side down to corner number 1.
Side by side, they continue to run. No caution so far in the field, so we'll continue running green flag. Now Kenny Humpy's going to try to make it work on the outside. He's got the advantage of 2, just too strong. Pulls away after 1 lap, and Kenny Humpy back in control of the field.
12 car going to go down low on the 5, just behind the 1 and the 19 that are side by side. We'll see where Davis does fall here. The 12 trying to push his way back up towards the front of the field. Taylor Hurst in position number 4 now as he disposes of car number 5. The 19 on the back bumper, the 1 of Luza. Luza holding on to position number 2, the 19 behind him. And then the 12 side by side behind the 12, the 5 and the 15. Gonna go at it. Dylan Jones, great run thus far. He's crossed over though by Ryan Lowe, and we could be 3 wide going down here. Here comes the number 23 of Benefield trying to put something up for these guys in the top 5.
Benefield does make the crossover, and he makes it successfully. Ryan Lowe will drop position to position number 8. Benefield now going to keep digging. He's going to get around the 15, it looks like. Well, he's got his eyes set on the 19 of Jeremy Davis, who last time around was scored position number 4, but will lose that position to Alan Bowes. So now that you see the 2 tires just did not work for the 19. The yellow fever has broken temporarily, and Kenny Humpy once again back in front of the field.
Yeah, the 15 car, though, Joe, is stuck on the outside here around position number 8. It's the 10 car of Blake Reynolds going to make the way underneath, and Brad Newman in car number 14 going to try to also do the same. He's going to try to work underneath the 15, and then you have the 25 of Lance Nasir. Keep in mind the 25 and the 14, Joe, had an issue a little bit earlier. We'll see if the 25's tempers have cooled off here, or if he remembered what happened between he and the 14 a couple laps ago. He works underneath the 15, though, to try to pick up that spot.
14 and 15 still nose to tail here. They're battling for position number 9, I believe. Dylan Jones in front of the 14 of, Brad Newman in front of the 14 of Dylan Jones. Lance Nasir and Ryan Ammerman just kind of sitting back, watching that battle develop right now, watching them figure out what they want to do, how they want to do it, and more importantly, waiting for one of these 2 drivers to make a mistake in order to capitalize on the situation. But single file back through the field once again, and now it's looks like a battle, close battle between the 6 and the 26 as the 6 of Jacob Harbutz tries to get around the 26.
And those drivers are not on the lead lap, Joe. It's a 10-lap difference between those guys. The 26 on the lead lap. Harbert's currently 10 laps behind the pace. And as you mentioned, everybody in front of them, for the most part, single file and trying to log some laps here. Kenny Humpy has a 1.2-second lead on Taylor Hurst. Ryan Luza, Alan Bowes, Jeremy Davis has found his way into 5th. There's those 2 tires right now running in position number 5 and comfortably in position number 5. Benefield behind them, and then a huge gap all the way back to Ryan Lowe, Blake Reynolds, and the rest of the running order.
Meanwhile, Kenny Humpy has put an island between him and everybody. No, you know what? Not an island, a time zone between him and everyone else. Last time around, 1.17 seconds between the gap between Kenny Humpy and Taylor Hurst. To put you those in a certain terms for you, that's about a length of a turn between Humpy and Taylor Hurst. Now the thing is, Taylor Hurst looks like he's starting to get a head of steam behind him, pushing back from the other drivers, the 1, the 5, but it may not be enough. Humpy increased his gap that time around, and I don't think Humpy's interested in letting that gap decrease at all.
19 sideways, Jeremy Davis is trying to hold on to that car. The 4 of Ryan Lowe going to move underneath down the front straightaway, and he's going to lose that spot there and going to try to pull into line here and see what he has left. The 19 of Jeremy Davis going to lose at least 1 position through that little scare, Joe.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Jeremy Davis, who was your leader, has fallen 5 positions since we went back to green flag racing. And now Davis is going to try to figure out what he needs to do to battle his way through the field. Those 2 tires he took when everyone came down pit road, they are not helping his cause now. In fact, as I predicted earlier, he is going backwards. He may need to come down pit road under another caution flag, because you know there'll be one, and he may have to come to the attention of his crew and try to get tires on this machine in order to make it relevant for the rest of the race.
He's trying to make something relevant here, though, Joe. The 19 continuing to race the 4, and the 4 of Ryan Lowe may have barely just got into the wall off corner number 2. The 19 up to the back bumper of the 4 and trying to put a little bit of pressure on Ryan Lowe. That is your battle for position number 6, and here goes the 19 to the inside, gets a great run. Off corner number 4, going to drive it down into corner number 1. 19 going to slide it a little bit down on the inside. The 4 going to try to get a little bit of momentum on the outside line, down the back straightaway, and the 19 will have to fall back to that position. The 14, though, of Brad Newman, going to make the move on the 10 of Blake Reynolds, and Dylan Jones going to follow him through as well. And just like that, the 10 car will be dispatched to position number 10.
You know, and I'm going to give a lot of credit to Jeremy Davis, because he is able to, even though he's got less gear and less rubber underneath him, he is really able to hang with the 4 of Lowe that lap. So Davis proving it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And I think Jeremy Davis, despite the fact he may not get back up front tonight, there's still plenty of fight in that dog.
Yeah, Davis, a caution is out on the speedway. That might save Jeremy Davis' strategy, Joe, as the caution flag will fly again.
That will be the 3 of Daniel Roper getting into the wall, and it looks like the 26 may have gotten in the back of the 3 of Roper going into turn number 1. So the 26 gives the boot to the 3. The 3 goes spinning around, hits the inside wall, hits the outside wall, and Daniel Roper might be done for the night.
Yeah, Daniel Roper has already disconnected from the server, and Joe, I'm not sure if these guys had a history or not, but the 3 car and the 26, the 3 car looks like he's going down to enter the corner. The 26 tries to drive down a little bit more, and it looks like the 26 just ran him over. I don't know what else to say there. Kenny Humpy, though, going to come down onto pit road. He's been running over the field all night long when it comes to running up in front of the running order. They're going to race behind him, coming down into the boxes. Hurst and Bose are going to be side by side as they will come down to the attention of their crews.
So Kenny Humpy will lead them all the way down through the field as other drivers start to get in their pit stops. Ryan Michaeluza cleaning his stall. Ryan Lowe cleaning his stall. 2 up right side tires up in the 5 of Alan Bose. Now he's got the left side up. Behind him, Jeremy Davis not making the same mistake. He will take all 4 tires this time around and be down and away. Meanwhile, back up front, bad stop for the 2 machine of Kenny Humpy. He's not going to lose 1 position. He's going to lose 6. Maybe 5. As that pit stop, he gets stuck in pit road, and something happened.
Jake Hayes in the 16 car. I believe Joe may have came off of pit road first, but I don't think he stopped. We'll have to come back and see what happened here with the 16 car. Yeah, 16 car does not stop in his box, so if he does want to come down pit road, he'll have to surrender what is now the lead position, because he did not stop. Taylor Hurst will come off pit road in position number 2, and as you mentioned, Kenny Humpy will have some work to do. He is probably going to restart in 7th place. Unless Jake Hayes comes down pit road, he'll restart in position number 6. You got a couple of cars in front of the leaders that are going to try to get a wave around, and this, Joe, coming to this caution, was the longest green flag run that we had in this race, and now we have less than 50 laps to go.
Let the yellow fever come forth once more, Tim, because now you have drivers on brand new, cold Goodyear tires underneath them with very powerful machines that want to propel those tires forward very, very fast. Last time everyone came down for wholesale pit stops, it wasn't a good look. We had how many caution flags between them? But tonight, now that everyone once again is back to wholesale pit stops, I don't imagine it's going to be much of a better situation. I could be wrong, but I don't imagine so.
So we will work under caution here on lap number 78. Jake Hayes did not stop. And Joe, what do you think of this one here? And we'll get your thoughts after we return from commercial break. Quick break here. We'll be back after this. Green flag back out, and it's going to be Taylor Hurst leading them down to the corner number 1. The 5 of Alan Bowe is going to try to cross over Taylor Hurst. Not going to happen down into corner number 1. Luza in a third, and Joe, Kenny Humpy for the first time this evening, mired in traffic.
Yeah, he does not look comfortable in that position, and I don't blame him at all, because bad things happen when you run in traffic. Don't look for Kenny Humpy to stay there very long, as now he goes to try to move on to the 23 machine. And the 23 belonging to Adam Benefield dispatches him with ease and move the 2 of Kenny Humpy up one more position.
And in front we have a battle for the lead brewing. Alan Bowes there as they are 2 and possibly 3 wide back here around Ammerman and the 25 of Lance Nasir. Some of those guys going 2 and 3 wide. There's battles all over this racetrack, Joe. These guys are getting at it. We've seen a lot of cautions this evening. I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either, and I think a lot of guys starting to get a little antsy now. Now is where you see the caution flags for good reasons, because guys are just racing as hard as they can around this Richmond International Raceway. Taylor Hurst now in the lead. Alan Bowe second, Luza third. Kenny Humpy, now check that. It'll be Humpy in third, just getting around the 1 on the outside in definitive fashion.
Yeah, the 2 car coming back to the front of the field. The 1 of Ryan Luza trying to keep with him. Behind them, top 10 or so. Joe, single file at least at this point. Ryan Luza, position number 4 now, has to put up with Adam Benefield behind him. Benefield going to try to dispatch the 1 car back one more spot as he is all over the back bumper of the 1 coming off corner number 2 and down the back straightaway.
So everyone's single file right now through this field. I think the closest battle is going to be between about 9th and 13th as the 4, the 22 start to do battle here for position number 8. Ryan Lowe can't hold off the advances of Brian Ammerman, or can he? Goes to slam the door, thinks twice about it, and Ammerman gets a position nonetheless. Now here comes the 10 machine of Blake Reynolds.
Kenny Humpy going to move up one more spot. That is Alan Bowes. He just put in his rear view mirror. And the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series point leader will move to position number 2. And Taylor Hurst just about a half second or so in front of driver number 2 as Humpy pulls away from Alan Bowes and the rest of the field. And Joe, knock on wood, it looks like we got a little bit of green flag racing or green flag look to this one. The first battle is all the way back at 25 and 15 side by side. As the 15 into the fence, Wrangler gets into the back of him, and they are going to keep it straight, I believe, in this exchange, but boy, that was close.
That was a very, very dangerous moment that could have caused the caution flag to come out one more time, and that would have only benefited one man, the driver of that 2 machine, Kenny Humpy. Taking a look at the gap between first and second now, 0.6 of a second, which decreased to now over 0.5 of a second between Hurst and Humpy. Humpy's a man on a mission. He will not be denied another win, but Taylor Hurst is going to do everything he can to make sure it costs Humpy everything he's got in that number 2 machine.
Yeah, he's going to try to top Kenny Humpy, something that hasn't been done a whole lot this evening. Humpy, that NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series point leader this season, has been pretty dominant. Top 6. Have a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field, Joe. Looking back to Brad Newman in position number 7, and he's got to start digging here if he wants to get up to these drivers in front if we do not have the aid of a caution flag, and we've had a few of those here this evening. It's about a second between Jeremy Davis, who, you look back early in the race, that pit strategy, that 2-tire strategy worked. It vaulted him from just outside the top 10 to just outside the top 5. He gained about 5 or 6 positions in that exchange.
Yes, he did out there, and a lot of guys starting to kind of shake out what they've got in these cars underneath them. We're just over 35 laps to go at this juncture. Actually, have 35 laps to go left in this show. And time is running out real quick now that we're getting these green flag runs, now that we're getting the speed on the track. These guys are going as hard as they can, as fast as they can around this track, and something's going to give here real quick, sooner rather than later.
So the 12 car of Taylor Hurst continues to lead, but Kenny Humpy has been chipping in to that advantage that Taylor Hurst had built every single lap. Lap number 92 going to be completed this time by for Taylor Hurst in a car number 12, Humpy in second, and this time by Hurst will turn a 21.44 compared to a 21.42 from a Humpy, and he is there. Those little tiny gains, Joe, gonna mean a lot when it's only 0.3 of a second between those top two cars. Hurst will lead at a corner number 4 this time by, and now 93 laps completed.
Meanwhile, Alan Bowes looks like he might be having some issues. He went real high through turns 3 and 4. Now gets it back in line, but not before Ryan Michael Luza can pull it up into about a car length and a half between those two cars. Adam Benefield in that mix as well. So now we have two battles brewing. One for position number 1 between Hurst and Humpy, and then one for position number 3 between Bowes, Luza, and Benefield.
So a few battles here starting to form in the later stages of this one. Caution flag, though, will fly here.
Caution flag back on the track once more, and it looks like it might have involved, I'm not sure, actually. I'm going to say the 26 machine. The 26 and the 7 are going to get involved coming out of turn number 3 and into turn number 4. And it looks like the 7 just tries to make the aggressive move on the 26. Chris Overland will pick up the position, but at the cost of the 26 spinning in front of several cars. Good news for the 26 is he's able to save it. Bad news is not before Mr. Caution Flag makes another appearance.
Yeah, you look at that 7 car, though, Joe. Chris Overland comes off of corner number 2, and he points to the inside of the number 26. Give and take. We haven't seen a whole lot of it this evening, and there's not a whole lot on either end there. The 7 car does get into the hole. The 26 car left a small little hole there, Joe, but not a whole lot of one. Here comes the field down onto pit road. Taylor Hurst going to come down, and Kenny Humpy's fairly lonely out there.
1 is the loneliest number you've ever heard, especially if everyone behind you is going to come down to try to challenge your lead. Hurst down in pit road, Ringler, Benefield, Ryan Michael Luza, Ryan Lowe, Ryan Manning, Jeremy Davis looks like he's going to try 2 tires one more time, and now is the time to do it as he comes off pit road. Ryan Michael Luza comes out, though, in front of him, so now you have 2 drivers who have taken 2 tires. Taylor Hurst will take 4, Alan Bowes, Adam Benefield, Ryan Ammerman will all take 4. Keegan Leahy, I believe, came down pit road as well. Ryan Lowe took 4, Lade Witt took 4 as well, so now you've got a lot of conflicting strategies on the board. You have Kenny Humpy, who has no new tires. You've got Ryan Michael Luza, who has 2 tires, and Jeremy V. Davis, who has 2 tires. And then you have Taylor Hurst, Alan Bowes, who both elected to take 4. Now, there's a lot of different factors into play that could ultimately determine this race.
And when you look at the other strategy, Joe, you mentioned the 2 and the 1. But those aren't the only 2 out there. You have the 15 car, Dylan Jones, and you also have Jake Hayes in the 16, who did not come down on pit road. They're on the same strategy per se as Humpy as of this caution, not coming down onto pit road. So, yes, Ryan Lewis is going to be quick. Jeremy Davis, I think, has played the track position and the pit strategy game both perfectly this evening. He might not have a winning car, but he might have taken a 10th place car and made it a top 5 car with some of the strategy that he has done here this evening. Davis right now in 5th on the racetrack, but those 2 drivers are 2 of those 3 drivers that did not come down pit road. He's been a little bit better than for the most part this evening. I think that's where the interesting strategy or the interesting play will lie on this restart. Yes, Kenny Humpy's quick. He's going to control the restart, but what happens to those 2 cars that are behind him right now?
That's a the $64,000 question, isn't it? I think everyone's excited to see what exactly is going to take place in these next closing laps here at Richmond as the 16 starts to blink. Looks like he's got some electrical issues on that 16 machine. That is Jake Hayes. I think what everyone's excited to see is what exactly is going to happen to all of these cars and all of these drivers. You have varying levels of skill, varying levels of equipment and setup and technical expertise and knowledge, along with different levels of comfort with a car and different levels of gear underneath the car. So what you have here is a perfect storm. As these guys turn off the lights, they're going to go around one more time. There'll be 25 to go when we hit the start-finish line. And Tim, get your popcorn ready, because this is about to be a show. A very, very big show.
So we will see what happens here as we get ready to throw the green silk once again, as we will work through corners number 3 and 4. The 2 of Kenny Humpy will lead at this race. We'll see what happens to the 2 behind. Oh, and the 16 and the 2 come together onto that exchange. Green flag flies. The 15 tried to jump the 2 on the outside. We'll see what happens there. The 16 going to throw the block. Oh boy, what happened there? The 16 throwing a bunch of blocks here.
16 being very aggressive, trying to hold off the forward movement of the 19 of Jeremy B. Davis. It's only a matter of time before he gives. Now more trouble behind them, as it looks like the 26 might be involved. Check out the 29, the 22 of Ammerman, the 9 of Keegan Leahy. All 3 cars will be involved, and that will bring up the caution flag one more time.
14 and 22 is where the initial contact begins, Joe, and fighting down for real estate. And you know what? That thing starts on the straightaway. It doesn't even start in the corner. The 22 of Ammerman, 14. They're trying to set up for the corner, and it doesn't work very well. The 25 goes for a wild ride. Nasir trying to shoot a hole that wasn't there, and but full throttle that number 22 as the 22 slid up into the 25. Tough break for him, but there's a few cars back here that will not be joining us on this restart. Should keep in mind as well, and Joe, I'm not 100% sure on the number. I'm sure Chuck will know off the top of his head. There is an incident number in this race. Each time you get into something in this race, whether it is a 2X for maybe scraping the wall or a 4X for completely hitting somebody else, those are incident points that you attain. I think, Chuck, the number is 15 or 17 for a race. I'm sure he does a lot more racing, Joe, than both of us combined. But once you hit 15 or 17, and I can't remember what the number is, maybe one of our listeners or our viewers can help us out, you get disqualified from the race. There's been some drivers that have been involved in multiple incidents. We're not going to point any fingers, but there's some that probably could be close to that incident cap in this race and could be close to being disqualified from this race for hitting that incident cap.
The incident cap, we're being told, is 16 points, and I've got a feeling if we see a couple more caution flags come out, someone's going to hit that threshold, and we're going to see some guys be asked to pull their cars behind the wall by the end of the night. But I've got a feeling we're going to see some attrition, though, before that, as Lance Nasir, heavy black smoke pouring out of the back of that 25 machine. He is effectively done for the rest of the night, and I would not count on him being back anytime soon. Any more hard hits, though, Tim, and I got a feeling this field is going to dwindle. As we take a look at who's running right now, 26 cars started this race, 22 remain on the lead lap, and there will be probably 20 left on the track when we go back to green flag racing one more time. So call it what you want, natural selection, atrophy, it's a thing.
Looking back at the restart, Joe, we saw the 16 car do a couple of evasive moves. Within the straightaway, he hits 3 cars, or hits 2 cars, counting him, I guess 3 cars counting himself. He hits the 2 car of Kenny Humpy coming to the line. We mentioned a little bit earlier that Kenny Humpy on the restarts had been going as soon as the pace car peels off. Now it's his prerogative to peel off and go green when the pace car peels off, or he can wait until the green flag flies. The 16 car was anticipating that Kenny Humpy was going to peel off and go green, restart the race as soon as the pace car went off the racetrack, and the 16 car flat out hit the 2, thinking that he was going to go. That was mistake number one. Mistake number two, the 19 car tried to go down low, and I guess maybe not a mistake per se, but he tried to block the 19 car down to the wall, down into corner number one, which it almost was bad for the rest of the field as well, because if something were to happen there, Joe, they probably would have plowed in, then the caution flag flew behind. Watch the 16 car, because he's still going to have the 19 behind him on the same line on the inside. 16 will start position number 5, the 19 will start 7th.
So you've got here once again, I hate to say it, but it's a perfect storm brewing. The only difference between then and now is then it was all about talent and skill and understanding and knowledge of the track and the car. Now you've got emotions in play. Now you've got, if you didn't have them in before, now you've got emotion, raw, pure emotion into play, and you've got people who are amped up and edgy and just frustrated out there, damn it. What they want to do, they want to get moving. They want to get going as fast as they can.
3 wide, 4 wide. I don't know how they're not wrecking. There's a bomb back here, Joe, that's ticking off and waiting to go off, but it hasn't yet. The 11 of Trent Ringler, the 17 back here. The 16 did not get going. Overland's going to go 3 wide down to the inside in the 7 car. The 26 on the outside, 14 going to be shuffled back 2 more spots. Joe, I do not know how they didn't pile up 5 cars in the last lap.
What you're seeing here is really late model racing at its finest at Richmond, and you're seeing a lot of drivers starting to have a lot of fun with these cars. Still 3 wide between the 7, the 17, and the 16, as we have a battle for second that might be interrupted by the 7 getting sideways through turns 1 and 2. Still 3 wide, almost 4 wide on the backstretch.
Yeah, keep a half eye on that battle for a second, but this battle back here, Joe, is waiting to intensify a little bit more. The 7 and the 11 trying to go to the front of the field. The 14 is on the inside of the 7. The 11 of Trent Ringler trying to come through the field. This is the battle for 12th. The 11 body slams the 7, going down into corner number 1. We're 3 wide, almost 4. The 8 car sideways. 13 is going to get sideways in front of this, and that's going to be your caution flag. The 18 car is also going to get sideways. We're still working under the green flag. I don't know how we are, because Van der Stal's peeled up against the fence.
Van der Stal's up against the fence. Davis has heavy smoke pouring out of his car, but he doesn't seem to care. He's still going to stay out on the track for some reason. So Davis is going to keep driving it until it breaks, I guess. I have no idea what's going on here, Tim. I think the flagman doesn't care either. I think he's just letting them have fun at this point.
The 2 car of Kenny Humpy still leads this race. The 12 of Taylor Hurst is now second. Ryan Luza has the 23 of Benefiel behind him in position number 4, and then in 5th all by himself is Alan Bowes. Now that, Joe, we can take a collective breath here. The 1 car of Luza gets sideways at a 4. Hello, 23 car. Benefiel goes to the inside, and Benefiel will pick up 3rd.
And maybe, just maybe, the light is at the end of the tunnel for all of these drivers. Be it back towards the rear of the field, the 14 and 11 still doing a little bit of business. The 14 belonging to Brad Newman, the 11 of Trent Ringler. They've exchanged positions back and forth, but I've got a feeling they're just not quite done yet. Meanwhile, Matthew Davis, heavy smoke pouring out of the car. Honey Badger don't care. He's going to run like he stole it.
He's going to run it until all the virtual oil comes out of that race car. 23, the 1, there's the caution flag on the speedway. Caution is out, and it looks like we have an incident down the back straightaway. Is that Ringler going backwards on the racetrack?
I called it. It was Ringler. The 11 machine is going backwards on the track, and that battle between him and the 14 machine finally came to a head. Going in through turns 1 and 2, the 14 finally just literally runs over the 11. So Newman gets his revenge on the 11 machine of Trent Ringler. Ringler will put it backwards on the backstretch, and caution flag is out with exactly 11 to go.
I mean, there's a few drivers in this race that have hit other drivers. The 14 completely drove the 25 earlier, and he completely drove the 11 car here too. There's some short track tempers overflowing here, Joe. Some of these drivers have hit more drivers than their fair share, but Kenny Humpy out in front. The only thing that he's about to hit is the checkered flag in about 10 laps time. 10 laps to go, but it's not over. Benefiel has a really quick car in that number 23. He made the move on the 1 of Ryan Luza. He's going to move up to position number 3, and he's going to start behind Kenny Humpy. Taylor Hurst going to start on the outside. Benefiel might be able to play spoiler here.
Plausible, but not probable. I think what he's going to do, he's going to try to get as many positions as he can out there, and he's going to do whatever he can to try to get as far up front as he can. But Humpy, again, he is his own worst enemy at this point. The only one who can stop him is himself. Kenny Humpy has one is really his biggest enemy, again, himself. And whatever happens to him, it's going to be by his own doing. Now, if he doesn't start on this restart, which we saw him mess up a restart before, it's entirely possible that you could have 3 other drivers, including the 12 Taylor Hurst, the 23, the 1, all get ready to play spoiler here and rain on the parade. But I don't think Kenny Humpy's so much worried about that. At this point, it's about pride for him. At this point, it's about saying, yeah, I won this because, you know what, I can, and I'm the heir apparent of the NASCAR began every series, so, you know, it is what it is. But when you look at the amount of talent behind him, anything is possible. And you also have to consider this, Tim. This should be the last green flag we have. There is no overdrive finish. There's no green-white checkered finish in the NASCAR or in any iRacing series. So if we get a caution flag here, if we get a caution flag after the restart, the race will end under yellow.
And hopefully these guys can try to get this thing clean to the end of the race. We've seen some great racing throughout this field, throughout this race, but we've also seen our share of caution flags. So we'll see if these guys can keep it cordial and keep it nice and calm for the remaining 7 laps of this one. But this is Richmond. This is a short track. We saw it earlier in the season at Bristol, and we saw it already tonight. A couple of drivers just flat out running over the guys in front of them. We'll have to see what happens. Last time I checked, Joe, none of these drivers were Harry Houdini, and they can't go through the other driver in front of them. Last time I checked, they had to try to go around them. I don't know about you.
Pit road is one thing, but the racing service is something completely different, and I don't think you're going to see anyone go around each other again. All these drivers cognizant of the fact that when we go back to green flag racing, because the lights go off on the Mustang pace car, 6 laps remain in this race, 6 circuits left, and unless we get a caution flag as soon as they hit the start-finish line, this will be the last restart of the night. So if you're anybody out there, you don't want to do anything to jeopardize it, but stranger things happen that have been out of everyone's control.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to have a couple of laps as that buffer zone, per se, to have a restart if they do have a caution flag come out. But we'll see how this plays out. Kenny Humpy is your leader. The 12 of Taylor Hurst is in second. I think if anybody's going to spoil this party, it's going to be Adam Benefiel in third. Luza and Bose, your top 5. Look at Humpy go. Green flag flies, and Humpy is completely gone. What a start for the 2. And here comes the field behind. Benefiel was caught sleeping. The 12 of Taylor Hurst is going to take second place here. The 23 going to work to the inside. The 5 and the 1 are going to be side by side behind them.
The 2 wanted nothing to do with that restart. He is gone from the word go as Brian Ehrman pulls down a pit road. 5 laps remain on the track. Humpy, Hurst, now Benefiel throws the block on the 5, but here comes the 1 of Luza. 2 by 2, they're all battling for the position the 23 currently occupies.
The 19 car here going to try to take a top 5 run, and he's going to get into the 1 of Ryan Luza. They're going to get sideways. The 4 is going to try to get the 19 straight. He's going to do so, but the 19 to Jeremy Davis, after having such a good run here this evening, is going to be dispatched outside the top 10. In front of them, the 10 and the 12, or check that 10 and 17, are going to go side by side for a position, and it's going to be Reynolds trying to pick up one more spot here late in the going.
Meanwhile, the battle is starting to heat up between the 2 and 12. The question, though, is, does the 12 have enough to catch up to the 2 of Kenny Humpy? 3 to go left on this field. Humpy still in control. Taylor Hurst now in second. Benefiel, Bose, Michael Luza, your top 5. And 1 and 2, 3 and 4 still in question.
Hey, your top 2. We're going to work through corners number 3 and 4. They'll come up this time by and see 2 laps to go. The 2 of Kenny Humpy in control, 2 car lengths back. To the 12 at Taylor Hurst, all Humpy has to do in these remaining 2 laps is hit his marks, and he'll come home a winner in the Class B Series. But the 12 car got a great run that time through 1 and 2. He'll go down the back straightaway and chase down the 2 of Kenny Humpy in front of him. The 12 car might have something here to catch the 2. We'll see if he can make the move here. White flag, final lap of the Richmond International Raceway. Kenny Humpy leads him down into corner number 1. Benefiel currently holding position number 3. He is holding off Alan Bose for that spot. The 12th car gets a great run once again through 1 and 2. Not close enough down the back straightaway to get to the 2 of Kenny Humpy. He'll drive it down into 3. Little contact into corner number 3. Humpy keeps it straight, and he'll come off corner number 4 with the win at the Richmond International Raceway. Going to be Taylor Hurst in second. Benefield going to come home in third. Bose and Luza complete your top 5.
And look, let's go back and look at that finish from Alan Bose. You want to talk about someone who just drove it hard to end this race. Alan Bose does just that. Overdrives it coming off of turn number 4. He will slide sideways across the start-finish line and still finish 4th. But what about that finish up front, Tim? I did not expect Hurst and Humpy to be so close to battle for this win, and yet there they were. They were right there, nose to tail, for position number 1. But nonetheless, Kenny Humpy, who's already won here earlier in the season, he will win again here at Richmond and make it a clean sweep for the season, if you will.
Looked like Taylor Hurst just needed a little more and maybe needed a lap or 2 more in order to make the move to win over Kenny Humpy. Nevertheless, Kenny Humpy is your winner. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time. We'll bring you back and we'll talk to as many of the top 5 as we can find here on iRacing Live. On the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy. Welcome back to iRacing Live and Fans Choice TV. Your winner here this evening at the Richmond International Raceway is Kenny Humpy in the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series Open Division. And I believe Joe Cortez has caught up with our winner here this evening, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series point leader, Kenny Humpy.
Kenny Humpy won here in April of this year. He will make it one more time here at the fall race in the B Series. Kenny, just how crazy was this win for you, considering everything you had to go through in order to pick up first place?
Oh yeah, that was fun. It was fun racing all the guys up at the front there. They were, we were all racing pretty hard and pretty much clean for the most part. But I don't know what all was going on in the back there. We had a bunch of cautions, but yeah, pretty lucky to get that win. I knew that Taylor was pretty quick on new tires, let alone, us being on a little bit older. Just, it's a fun race, and can't thank everybody on the team and everybody for helping make the setup, and Peak Antifreeze, of course.
Got to ask you a question. The new build that we talked about so eagerly last week, so we anticipated so much last week, was delayed a week. Are you disappointed at all that this second win here at Richmond this season did not come in the new build?
Yeah, that's what I was planning on running this race, to kind of try to learn something for next week, the Darlington, that package. But, that we'll have to wait until, I think they delayed it again until tomorrow. So, but either way, just running laps, having, racing with all those guys, it makes it a lot of fun. So it's always good to race.
Definitely good to race. Did you learn? You won Darlington last week. You won here at Richmond this week. Are you feeling any more confident going into Darlington for what could be the championship defining race?
No, confidence is up, but these are just for fun. Just come out and race and have a good time with all the guys that are in the series. It's good to see them come down and race against them in a different car that really we're just out having fun in. So it's pretty much what it's all about, is just having fun, and hopefully next week we can go into Darlington and be able to clinch that championship.
Last question, Kenny. I know you say this is for fun, but when $10,000 on the line, fun goes out of the way in a hurry. Is this just kind of therapeutic for you to go out and turn laps, or is there something more here?
No, that's pretty much it. Get away from the pressure. You can't just. I've never been a fan of just running the peak races all the time, because you kind of get, there's a lot of pressure in those races, and it kind of bowls up. But whenever you can, go into all these other series that iRacing provides you with, and just kind of let it all go and have some fun, it's what it's all about. So, it's glad to be able to come down and race and have some fun without all that pressure on you, and just have a good race. And got to say thanks to Taylor there, because he had a good run and he didn't dump me there in the last corner.
Kenny Humpy sweeps Richmond on TV. He walked away in April with a win. He will walk away in September with a win. Tim Terry's caught up with our second place finisher, Taylor Hurst.
And Taylor Hurst made sure that Kenny Humpy had to earn that win. Taylor, let's talk about that last lap. It looked like you had something for Kenny Humpy, but could not make that pass.
Yeah, man, he's just too tough anywhere, man. It's almost impossible to beat him. But, I stuck it in there in the 3, and I tried to give him the bumper, but just couldn't get it done, man.
Restarts were a big thing here this evening?
Yeah, we had a lot of them for sure. People wanted to stay out, take 2 tires and whatnot, and it was tough getting around them a lot of times. I started on the outside, all but 1 restart, I think. And it was rough.
Now, this B class, obviously a little bit different than the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series that we're used to seeing here on Tuesday evenings. Is your team prepared for the brand new build?
For the most part, we're a little worried about setups. If the Darlington setup's going to work all right whenever the build comes out. But really excited for one, And before I say anything else, I got to thank my sponsors, man. Premier Race Network, Game Show Connection, Setup Analyzer, GameVox, A10 Hawaiian Ice. What else we got? I don't know. I got too many to count, but we're ready.
Now, before we let you go, give us a little bit of a preview. What do fans expect from the Darlington Raceway when they tune in here to iRacing Live?
Honestly, I don't know. It's a rough track, man, and I'm definitely going to give it all I got, try to get a win.
And you better believe, Joe, that Taylor Hurst is going to be near the front of that field when we do go green at the Darlington Raceway. That's Taylor Hurst's second place finish tonight, Joe, and he put up one hell of a fight to get there on Kenny Humpy.
Another driver who put up a big fight was Adam Benefiel, who finished 3rd tonight. And as we bring him in here, Adam, I got to ask you this. You started 4th, you finished 3rd, but it's really kind of scary for you. At what point were you kind of worried that this race may not go the way you want it to?
Yeah, I mean, right there at the beginning, it was so hard to get down. Everybody was right there. Everybody was going for it right at the beginning, and it was kind of hard to get down. But we finally got down, and thanks to Andrew Lutz, he come in and we made some changes to the car, got to rotate the center better, and we started picking our way up through the field, and ended up coming out here with a pretty good finish.
Pit strategy and yellow flags really kind of dictated this race. Were you concerned at all about the yellow flags coming into this race? And if so, did those yellow flags change your pit strategy at all?
Well, like coming into the race with the strength of field that we had, I figured that it was going to be a long run race, really, but it wasn't. So once we went, we fell back to the back right there off the start. I just wanted to come in, every caution that I could to keep tires on it, just in case we did break out to a little bit of a run. We had fresher tires than the guys in front of us, so it worked out, and ended up having to get up on the wheel and make some moves. And I also want to apologize to Jeremy Davis. I seriously didn't mean to get into him going into 3. The spotter said it was net code. I don't drive like that, so I'm sorry to him.
Handful of weeks left here in the B-Class Series. What's the goal for you and the team?
Well, I just left one up a couple weeks ago and joined APC with Taylor and Nathan and all the guys. So, you know, this was kind of just our first big race together, and it paid off good. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we get some break during the rest of the impasse season, and be able to get back in here and have some more fun. Maybe try to win some.
Adam Benefield was a challenger for the win tonight, but will walk away position number 3. Tim Terry's caught up with our 4th place finisher and NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series regular, Alan Bowes.
Alan Bowes comes home in position number 4, and Alan, let's talk about that slide off corner number 4, because you were trying to make some gains there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened exactly. It just seemed to snap and I couldn't catch it. So I'm still pretty excited to come away with the P4 right there. I know Loser was right behind me, so you know, even with the slide, it was a pretty cool finish. We'll just leave it at that. But you know, I got to thank my sponsors, John Dragonetti. You know, you guys can head over to dracontech.com, get yourself a pretty awesome paint scheme made. I got to thank RAR Chevette and Checkered Flag Interactive. You know, those guys, they make it happen every week. If it wasn't for them, you know, we wouldn't be doing as well as we were.
Pretty wild race. A lot of caution flags in that one. You had to work on your restarts a little bit there.
Yeah, restarts were definitely key. It's we had quite a few cautions tonight, so you know, being on top of your game with the restarts definitely helped out a lot. Although, you know, I can't count how many times we went 3 wide down into 1. That was pretty sketchy a couple times with all the contact being made, bumpers were being used. It was just pretty hectic every now and then getting down into 1.
So we'll switch gears here. Are you and your team ready for the new build, and are you ready for Darlington Raceway?
I think we're ready for Darlington. The new build, though, it's gonna be interesting with the multi-groove racing that we're gonna get. I don't think it's gonna be necessarily about who has the best setup anymore. It's who can find the grip and where they find it. But you know, we'll have to see how it plays out at Darlington. I think it's gonna be a pretty good race if this plays out like it should.
And it's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be exciting to watch Alan Bowes work through that event. He comes home this evening in position number 4, one of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series drivers in the field this evening. I do not see Ryan Luza here. So Joe, Kenny Humpy put up a fight. Taylor Hurst was exciting to watch to come back in position number 2. Adam Benefield put on a show as well. A great show. Few cautions, but nevertheless, it is Richmond International Raceway.
It definitely is, and these guys put on a show for the ages here at Richmond. You can tell there was a little bit of disappointment that the new update, the new build did not come out tonight for these guys to practice in a real-time setting in. It's effectively the same as NASCAR saying, we're going to release a new aero package, and then when it comes to race time, they say, oh, just kidding, we'll release it for next week's race, giving these guys absolutely no time to practice except for among their teams. But nonetheless, these drivers took it in stride, and they took it with a lot of courage. And these drivers definitely put on a show, again, for the ages here. They really showed what this sim is capable of doing and what these drivers are capable of doing when they're just out there having fun, as Kenny Humpy said, when the pressure is off, when it's just about pride and just about putting on a good show for everybody watching on Fans Choice TV or iRacing Live or MRN, the voice of NASCAR, or anywhere else we might be broadcasting to. It's going to lead up to an incredible finish. 3 races left in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and an incredible finish for the B-Class Series as well.
That's going to do it for us here this evening. Tune in to iRacing Live, PSR TV, Fans Choice TV, all of our affiliates for fantastic iRacing action, whether it is the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series or the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series. Every Tuesday night, you're in for quite the show as we get ready to close off this 2015 racing season on the iRacing side of things. It's going to do it for us here this evening from the Richmond International Raceway. So for the whole crew, Zach, Ian Bushing, I got Chuck Johnson, Joe Cortez. My name is Tim Terry. We will see you next Tuesday night when we say, let's go racing. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.